Welcome to a FIFA 21 experiment in which we are going to find out exactly what would happen if there was a league exclusively for London teams in the football pyramid. 12 London teams in the top 4 leagues will all battle it out over 8 seasons. Those teams are Arsenal, Brentford, Charlton, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Leyton Orient, Luton Town, Millwall, QPR, Tottenham and AFC Wimbledon. So yeah, I couldn't find a league with 13 slots in it, so at complete random, West Ham miss out for this one, but maybe in the future, guys, we'll do a sequel where we'll include West Ham and maybe a couple of other teams very near London like Watford. It's time to find out exactly how these 12 teams are going to do in the London Clubs League. If you do enjoy this video, please slap a like on it, and if you're only just finding the channel, why not subscribe for some top-notch career mode and football content, as well as 2 live streams every week. So here we go then, season 1 in the 3F Superliga. Now that is the Danish Premier League. There's no relegation because there's only one Danish league that exists in FIFA. So each season it's going to be the same 12 teams. If you're not familiar with the channel, you may not know that I'm a Charlton fan, so that's why we have opted to go for Charlton Athletic. And I have to tell you, this team is 99% accurate, I would say, to real life. So this guy on the left wing, Steele, he was a youth-generated player. He's going to be a worldie, basically. He's a 68 rated already, and he's 17 years old, which is ridiculous. This keeper on the bench as well, Smits, is a Dutch youngster who doesn't really exist either. Everybody else is a real player. I thought it was best to disclose that because maybe it just gives Charlton an ever so slight advantage over maybe like a Millwall or a team that's similarly rated. But guys, we had to pick a team, we had to control somebody so that we had full access to all the statistics of the league for each season. But without further waffle, let's go to the calendar and simulate to the end of the very first season. I thought this might happen. So, in the middle of, I think, February, the board have decided to terminate my contract for Charlton. So what we're going to have to do is hope that we get offered another contract for a team in the league. So we get the job for Wimbledon. So we're going to take it. I guess this will happen from time to time in the simulation if we do have a particularly bad run of results like we did then. I think the January transfer window may be dicking us a little bit in this experiment, but we'll certainly find out in the next 8 simulations if that's going to be a regular occurrence. So let's continue. So here we are at the end of season 1, guys. Now, because of the way the Danish league works, it gets played in 22 fixtures at first, and then it goes into a playoffs, and it gets split between a relegation round and a championship round. So, as you can see here, Spurs won the league by quite a distance. So they beat off Arsenal, who were the next nearest contenders, by a good 8 points there. Crystal Palace ended up finishing above Chelsea. So Chelsea massively underperformed. Charlton themselves finished in 10th position, quite a way ahead of Wimbledon down, who are currently controlling in 12th. Leyton Orient were below us, so it's pretty much as you'd expect here, to be perfectly honest with you. All the Premier League teams in that top cluster. Then you've got the Championship teams, probably in order of their quality. I mean, you can toss a coin with Millwall, QPR and Luton, really, but Brentford definitely the strongest of those Championship sides. And then you've got Charlton, definitely the strongest of the League 1 and 2 teams. Maybe the only surprise would be that AFC Wimbledon are below Leyton Orient, but again, only 4 points in that one. We were also very close to QPR and Luton, it's worth noting that as well. But in the playoffs then, in the relegation round, Millwall won the league, so they ended up accumulating 57 points. We ended up with 28. I'm saying we as if we're Charlton. Of course, it now shows us as controlling Wimbledon. So we, I think, would, in theory, steer clear of relegation there. Anyway, so overall, that is how the table finishes once it's split. Spurs won it by quite a while. Chelsea actually came back in the second half of the season there to climb above Crystal Palace, and it ended up Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, then Fulham, then Palace and Brentford. So what would be interesting is if somebody from maybe League 1 or League 2 could sneak into that top 6, or maybe if you see someone like Spurs, Chelsea or Arsenal not finish in the top 3, simple as that. As far as the top scorers go, it looks like that Steele guy played pretty well for Charlton. He's 9th on the top scorers list. Harry Kane and Pepe, of all players, were joint top scorer. Anybody else from Charlton sneaking on there? Ronnie Schwartz with 7, and that is about it. So quite interesting. How about assists then? We've got Batshuayi top by 3 ahead of Pepe there. in second place. Kane again coming in third place, so he's going to be a very prominent player, you would feel, on these statistics. And the highest player from Charlton is Marcus Maddison, who only managed to get 3 assists, joint with a lot of other players as well. Clean sheets wise, I think Charlton did pretty badly. Actually, no, Ben Amos got 7, so not the end of the world, but Leno and Kepa came top with 14, so interesting to me then that Kepa was picked ahead of Mendy for Chelsea this season. Maybe that will be a regular feature, we'll see. But let's move on to season 2 now. So it is worth noting, guys, that for this particular experiment, I am going to be restarting the first season over and over again, so it's pretty much the real life squads. I've turned the transfer window off for the first summer, I think. I don't know about January. But certainly it's going to be the real life squads that you're going to see here, as opposed to them doing 8 years worth of transfer business. If you do want to see a version where we maybe do like 4 or 5 seasons including transfer business and see how that changes the league over time, then make sure you leave a comment letting me know, and also a like on the video to let me know you want to see more of this kind of stuff. But let's go ahead and get into the second season. No massive surprises in that first season really. I'm hoping for at least one sort of shock result or shock finish for somebody. So second season and we get our contract terminated again after I think it was a loss against Leyton. So we're probably going to get that AFC Wimbledon offer again and have to finish our season with Wimbledon. Let's do it. So the second season is done here. I don't think Charlton had a very good finish to the season. One thing I've noticed is that they lose all their loans in January. So they lose like 5 of their players, or 4 of their players at least. You've got Shinnie and players like that all get recalled for lack of playtime for some reason. So that works against Charlton specifically in the second half of the season. We picked up a few wins as Wimbledon there. I'm hoping for at least one of the seasons we don't actually get sacked as manager of Charlton, so we can actually look at the Charlton specific statistics. But moving on to the broader table then. Oh, it looks like Millwall actually finished in the bottom half this time. Did they last time? I can't remember. It looks like the same split. In the regular season then, Arsenal won the league, or the first half of the league I should say. Spurs and Chelsea, so your usual suspects, winning by quite a comfortable margin the top 3 spots of the table. The same 3 teams then follow: Palace, Brentford and Fulham. Millwall, I think that was exact same as last time. Maybe Luton and QPR were swapped over. This time though, Wimbledon actually finished above Charlton. Only on goals scored though, because they finished on the same goal difference and the same points. So Leyton Orient this time were the bad pick of the bunch. Then moving over to the actual playoffs, the relegation round, it looks like Charlton once again may have been relegated. They finished 5th of the relegation teams. Leyton Orient again, rock bottom of the table overall. I guess this is just an overall table then. It's just like 1st to 12th, but it just says 1 to 6. So Spurs actually ended up winning overall in the championship round. Arsenal lost out by 4 points. Chelsea were quite a way off. Palace, Brentford actually finished above Premier League Fulham this time round. So that's mildly interesting. Still waiting for something a bit more drastic to happen. One thing I did notice was at the beginning of the season, when we were in control of Charlton this time, they actually got a win over Spurs, but then it was about as good as it got really, and it started to drop off really from there. But maybe slightly more interesting than before. And this time a completely different set of players. Well, actually not really, but Werner was the top scorer with 17. Son and Kane then, usual suspects for Spurs, 2nd and 3rd. Zaha also in that top 5, as well as Mitrovic. Top for Charlton was Schwartz this time, rather than that young winger. Steele and Maddison both did get on it, so usual suspects for them. And did any Wimbledon players get on there? I don't think so. I didn't see any really, so I guess they just shared the goals between them and all got less than 6 or 7. So then if you move on to assists, it was actually Millwall that came top and 2nd of the assist charts, with 7 and 6 respectively. Then you look at Werner and Buemo and Ayew, so some different names on there. Steele again, the fake generated Charlton player. God, I don't know what we'd do without this guy. If we didn't have him, I reckon Charlton would be having an even worse time of it. But that is going to be it for the second season. So we saw Brentford this time finish above Premier League opposition. That's about as weird as it's got. I'm hoping that in one of the remaining 6 seasons something more strange happens. So can we keep our job this time, boys and girls? Stay tuned for season 3 to to find out. By the way, if you're wondering what these results are, it's just that I played through the training and the pre-season tournament. It doesn't have any impact on the season because we can't use any of the money for any actual transfers as I turn the transfer window off. So yeah, let's just hope we keep our Charlton job this time, all the way then to the end of May. I think the 27th will suffice. Let's see if we can have a better outcome this time for Charlton. Okay, so this time I got sacked directly after a win. So this is seemingly unavoidable. I mean, we didn't get the best results so far, but I'm going to struggle, I think, to... Oh, wait, you can actually take over a number of teams. Maybe I'll go for Leyton Orient this time, just to mix it up. Maybe I shouldn't have started with Charlton. And actually, I just realised that their goal is lower than Charlton's as well. But Charlton won and then we got sacked, so that was weird. But I don't think we're going to be able to finish a season with Charlton by the current rate. So season 3, and very, very close there at the end of the championship round. I don't think it's worth really looking at the regular season. I mean, we'll have a quick look at it. I mean, Fulham finished above Chelsea. Arsenal and Spurs were the two that topped the table. Charlton were 11th come the end of the regular season, as it says. But then when it came to the playoffs, guys, little spoiler there if you just saw it. But first of all, with the championship round, Arsenal and Spurs finished top and second respectively. Chelsea came only 2 points above Fulham, so we were very, very close to seeing Fulham actually overtake Chelsea there, one of the sort of power 3 of this London club league. Brentford once again snuck into the top 6 ahead of the other championship teams like Millwall, Luton, even Charlton potentially could have snuck in there. But as you can see, Charlton actually had a better season, their best season so far, finished above championship team QPR by a decent amount there, 5 points, but we still got sacked. So I guess maybe one thing we can try for season 4 is to just pause the calendar as we sim the calendar sort of halfway through and just maybe like address some of the board points, so maybe we get a better chance of keeping our job. I'll try my best, but I can't promise anything. But once again, we're not able to see any Charlton specific statistics, but what we can do once again is go and have a look at the top scorers and of course the assisters as well. So this time it was Ayew of Crystal Palace who was the top scorer. Martinelli as well, the second top scorer, with 16 goals from Arsenal. Ali again appearing on there. Pepe once again with a lot of goals there. Then Ivan Toney in the top 5. Any Charlton players on there? Yes, Steele again. So it's fake players rescuing Charlton at the moment. And Schwartz did just about sneak on there as well with 6 goals. In terms of assists, it was Pulisic and Martinelli again. What a season that man had, the youngster at Arsenal. They got 11 assists each. Williams actually this time, Johnny Williams, came through with 5 assists in 9th place. Harry Kane wasn't so prominent this time on the assists and goal charts really. I mean, Kane in terms of assists came pretty... Where did he come? 10th, sorry, and then with goals he came 7th. So yeah, he still did pretty well, but just not as prolific as he has been in the first 2 seasons. But again, interesting. Still, again, sneaking on to the assist chart there. But guys, we, with Leyton Orient, ended up bottom of the table again. We only managed them for like a month that time. But guys, it's time for season 4. Hopefully this time we can hack the system and not get fired with Charlton. Well, it looks like we're going to actually make it through a season and not get sacked as manager of Charlton. And I'll tell you how I managed to hack the system, guys. So I think that is the last game of the season now. We lost, unfortunately, against Luton Town, but I think we got quite a number of decent results there. I mean, you look at that. We beat QPR twice in the space of 2 months by quite good margins there. We also beat Luton Town, another opposition of championship quality. Didn't lose to Millwall either. But let's have a look at what we did. So if we go to the squad, you can see that the players who I said earlier, who normally get recalled from loan, we actually just resolved the problem by signing them permanently. Interesting to see that, well, first of all, we changed Pratley to a centre-back. Smith came permanently from QPR. Fanwo comes permanently from Norwich. Levitt permanently from Manchester United. This is another youth guy. And Miller also permanently from Liverpool. So we made those signings actual signings, and that seemed to keep us the job. Not only did it keep us the job, but it also made us, well, saw us come into some very good form, I think you'd agree. So let's have a look. Wow, we actually came second in the standings for the relegation round of this league. So in essence, we came 8th there. Again, the normal top 3 that you see, Spurs, Arsenal and Chelsea. Fulham a little bit further off than anyone was previously to Chelsea. Crystal Palace 5th, Brentford 6th again, so still that same top 6 and still that same bottom 6. If anything, it just shows how consistent the career mode sim is, which I guess is good. But we came above 2 championship opposition this time, QPR and Luton Town. And again, we just did that by making those loan signings permanent. So we're going to try and do that with the remaining 3 or 4 seasons we've got left. And before we do that though, let's have another look at the statistics. But this time we can actually go specifically into the Charlton statistics. So let's look at that first. So 11 goals for Maddison, 8 for Schwartz, 4 for Parrington and Anike. Still only with 2 and 2 this time. So he didn't have anywhere near as good a season as he has previously. I mean, you've got a few players that got like sporadic performances, appearances. But other than that, I mean, it was a pretty good season for Charlton. So Kane back on top then with 20 goals. Mitrovic this time second. Son again there with 16. Martinelli there with 16 again. And Ali coming in that top 5. Tony, Pulisic, Werner, Decordova, Reed among some of the players. I've moved league. Among some of the players there that were in the top 10. Assist-wise, Ali came top. Pulisic and De Silva of Brentford, who's must be Josh De Silva there at the centre mid. They're the top 3. Bale and Son make up the rest of it. And again, Martinelli popping up in 6th place there. So some familiar suspects. I mean, Ali, Kane, Son, Martinelli. Those names are cropping up an awful lot. Werner as well. Martinelli probably one of the surprise packages that I've seen crop up. But let's get into season 5. So guys, the original plan was to do 8 seasons and I did record the full 8. But to be honest with you, all the seasons turned out very similar beyond this point, and so I'm going to cut it at 4 seasons for today's experiment. However, I think it would be a very interesting idea to do a sequel where we first and foremost include West Ham and also progress the seasons as opposed to repeating that same first season over again. If this video gets 20 likes, I will do the sequel next week, so keep your eyes peeled for that one, and also leave any other experiment ideas down in the comments. Maybe you guys want to see how Celtic and Rangers would actually do in the Premier League. Those are the kinds of things that we can do as an experiment in this series. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed something a little bit different today, and hopefully this is the beginning of many interesting FIFA experiments. But take care guys, I'll see you in the next one. See you later.